Alright guys, massive info for today's video. With the 2.6 update on the way very soon, they've been giving us a bunch of patch notes about the incoming update, and a few days ago, they gave us an official look at the brand new Battle Pass weapons, which also seem to be tailor-made for all the incoming characters, starting from the 2.6 update all the way to the 2.8 version update. We have 5 brand new weapons on the way for 5 brand new characters. So in this video, let's go over all the latest info that we have on the weapons and see what else it might reveal, especially more info on the new characters kits. Also, if you guys want to be kept updated with all the latest Wuthering Wave news on the channel, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and put those notifications on. But alright, let's get right into it and not waste any time. So pulling up the website here, first off, we have the sword called the Feather's Edge. So the new 4-star sword from the Battle Pass will be a crit rate main stat weapon with 20% crit rate and 412 attack. The weapon skill is going to be after casting the Resonance Abrasion, increases the attack by 7.2%, all the way up to 23% at R5, and grants 10.8% Resonance Abrasion damage bonus for 15 seconds, and on R5 it's up to 34%. But for this video, let's just focus on the R1. So 7.2% attack after casting the ult, and additionally will grant 10.8% Resonance Abrasion damage. So who is this weapon for? Well, we already know we have one new sword character on the way, and they made it pretty obvious that we have Chissa, a incoming character set to come out in the 2.8 version update. And from the early info, Chissa is speculated to be a sword glacial character, and it seems that this new 4-star Battle Pass weapon has been designed with Chissa in mind. High crit rate main stat, Resonance Abrasion attack and damage buff that might match her burst playstyle, and 15% uptime to align perfectly with her rotations. So from this weapon, it seems that Chissa is going to be a Resonance Abrasion damage character. Now let's move on to the next weapon. So we have the broadblade. We already know who that one is for, as we have a broadblade character coming out very soon, Augusta, coming out for 2.6. So let's see if this weapon is going to be good on her. Alright, so we have a crit damage main stat of 40%, attack 412. And now for the effect, casting the ultimate increases attack by 7%, and additionally grants 10.8% of heavy attack damage bonus for 15 seconds. This weapon is going to be a very solid option for Augusta, possibly her best 4-star option, as it gives exactly what she needs with the 10.8% heavy attack damage bonus for 12 seconds after casting the ultimate, which we already know her main damage will be after her first ultimate. So with that, we know that Augusta is expected in the first phase of 2.6 as a Electro heavy attack DPS character, and this new 4-star broadblade is definitely tailor-made for her. So with this pattern I'm seeing, hopefully the next few weapons will indeed reveal the kits and what the next incoming characters will skill on the most. Alright, now moving on to the next weapon, we have the pistol. We already know who that one is for, definitely for Galbrenna. Let's see if the early info that we read in the last week's video will correlate with this weapon info. Alright, so the weapon is going to be attack 412 with a crit rate main stat of 20.2%. The effect is dealing basic attack or heavy attack damage, increases attack by 2.2% and grants 2.2 heavy attack damage bonus for 7 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. This effect can be triggered every 1 second. Now this is definitely very similar to the early info that we saw on Galbrenna a while back. It's because we saw Galbrenna, the info suggests that she's a heavy attack focused pistol user, where she's able to chain her basic attacks into stronger heavy attacks. And another thing we saw is that Galbrenna works on stacking gameplay, and now this weapon is definitely good with stacking the damage, so it seems that it will go hand in hand with her kit. This weapon gives stacking attack and heavy attack damage bonuses whenever she deals damage with basic or heavies, which is definitely pretty good with the crit rate main stat, which I'm sure she'll want because she'll be a main DPS. Most likely, we saw that she'll be a main DPS or maybe sub-DPS hybrid capable of doing damage and buffing the team at the same time. With the stack gameplay, this definitely looks like her weapon. Alright, moving on to the gauntlet weapons. We already know this is for Yuno, as Yuno is already confirmed as a gauntlet character that wants Resonance Abrasion. So let's see what this weapon is all about. Alright, so the crit damage main stat is 40.5%, attack 412, and the weapon skill as expected after casting Resonance Abrasion, it increases attack by 7.2% and grants 10.8% resonance aberration damage bonus for 15 seconds, which is exactly what Yuno wants. We already did a full breakdown on Yuno, and she is definitely a character that scales the most on resonance aberration damage. That is a huge part of her kit when she uses her ultimate. So with that, this weapon is definitely going to be a really strong option for Yuno. So if you do not want to pull on her signature weapon in 2.6, as we already have a bunch of crazy characters on the way, I'm sure you want to prioritize characters instead of weapons. Well, this Battle Pass weapon is going to be a really good alternative if you are looking to spend on the Battle Pass. So there we have it, the weapon for Yuno, and now for the last one is going to be the rectifier. Now this one is a big mystery. Who can be using the rectifier? Well, from the 2.6 and 2.8 lineup, there's only one option left, and that is the Lone Swordsman. So it seems this character will be using a rectifier instead of a sword, but who knows, maybe with the rectifier, he will end up spawning a sword into battle. Because the common trend we see with rectifiers, they basically tend to use a unique weapon instead of an actual rectifier, so I imagine they'll do the same with this character. But now going over the weapon details, we have attack for 112, crit damage for 100.5%, and for the weapon skill, casting resonance skill increases attack by 9% and grants 9% basic attack damage bonus for 10 seconds. So it seems that they might have confirmed a Lone Swordsman to be a basic attack and resonance skill DPS character. Now this is already pretty good, as it was speculated to work more towards resonance skill damage, and now it seems that he'll be basic attack and resonance skill damage, focusing on steady field time rather than one-shot burst. If that is truly the case, this new 4-star rectifier will be a pretty good option to then buff his attack after his skill, and then also additionally buff his basic attack. But yeah guys, each of the 4-star weapons seem designed to slot right into the kit of the next characters. Augusta gets heavy attack buffs, Yuno gets liberation damage buffs, which we already know, it's exactly what they wanted. So it seems that with that pattern, the Lone Swordsman will indeed get basic attack and skill damage, Galbrina gets stacking heavy attack bonuses, and Chissa gets liberation focus damage, and she definitely wants as much crit rate and crit damage as possible. Of course, it's still early info, but following this pattern, this is what we can expect. It also definitely matches the early info that we saw from the 2.6 and 2.8 banners roadmap. So it seems the new Battle Pass weapon info just leaked a part of the incoming characters kits, especially for the 2.7 and 2.8 banners. So these weapons looking pretty good. For a quick summary, we're getting next week Augusta in 2.6, the first phase. She'll be a broadblade heavy attack character. We have Yuno 2.6 second phase, Gauntlet. She's a liberation DPS synergy. Then we have the Lone Swordsman in 2.7. He's a rectifier with basic skill DPS synergy. Galbrina 2.7 as well, pistol, heavy attack stacking synergy. And lastly Chissa 2.8, a sword character that might revolve around resonance aberration damage. But yeah guys, that is all the info for this video. So if you guys did enjoy, like the video, subscribe, put those notifications on. Plenty more updates will be out next week, as it should be a pretty crazy week. I'm expecting a lot more info on specifically the 2.7 banners, so I'll keep you guys updated with that. But until then, that is all for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.